So Ozzy Osbourne has left. His journey is ended. He came, he saw, he conquered. He made a huge contribution to this world. And today, what I want to talk about is really how he was a huge bridge into me becoming a musician, or really a guitar player. Um, what growing up, Ozzy, you would hear about him on the news, and there was always rumors about him. And you also got to understand this is the time before social media, so you only hear rumors, and there's like this, almost like this mysticism about him, and there's like this scariness about Ozzy Osbourne when you would hear people talk about him. And when he was in the news, he always seemed scary. And then I was with my cousin in his truck. He took me and some of my younger cousins with him to go. Like, we were doing some stuff together, and we went to go wash his truck. Went to the car wash, and he had Ozzy Osbourne on. And I was like, what is this? And I didn't know it was Ozzy Osbourne, but I just thought it was the coolest guitar sound ever. And seeing how my cousin reacted to it as well, because he grew up to this music when it first came out. He's a little older than us. And just seeing him at the steering wheel going off when he heard. And just seeing him he was just getting into it. It was really awesome. And after the song, I'm like, who is this? He goes, oh, this is Ozzy Osbourne. And Ozzy Osbourne, his The Oz Man Cometh, it's like a greatest hits compilation, had just come out. And he bought it, and so we were listening to Ozzy all together. And, and the song was so happy. And I'm like, this is Ozzy Osbourne? I thought his music's supposed to be scary. And that was the greatest guitar riff I had ever heard. I was just blown away, and seeing how my cousin reacted to it had a chain reaction to me, and I'm like, oh my god, this music is really cool. And like, I didn't know Ozzy Osbourne was like this cool. I thought he was scary. And I was a teenager at the time. I was probably 14, 15. And it was really cool. And I had a few friends that were already musicians. And one of my really good buddies, who I'm actually in a band with now, once I got into guitar, he actually let me borrow this book. Shout out to Elias Acevedo. And he actually, later on, he just let me have it. I don't know if I borrowed it for so long, I just inherited it, and he was just like, yeah, just keep it, or what the deal was there. But I remember we traded books, because I had bought a Van Halen book, and I was really getting into Ozzy and Van Halen, and so I wanted to catch up to him as a guitar player, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I gotta learn this Ozzy stuff, I gotta learn Van Halen. And that Ozman Cometh CD was actually one of my first CDs I ever bought. Like, the first CDs I ever bought by myself, like going into a CD store by myself, first two CDs I ever bought were breakdance CDs, like Freestyle Fire, and another breakdance hip hop compilation. And then the second two CDs I ever bought from the same store in the mall was Metallica's Ride the Lightning and The Ozman Cometh. And The Ozman Cometh and Ride the Lightning, I still have those two CDs to this day. And that CD, hearing all of Ozzy's hits up into that point, just had a huge impact on me. And I just wouldn't be a musician without Ozzy. And then later on, it's even better, because then he becomes a reality TV star. He's like the first reality TV star, and I get to enjoy Ozzy with my family. I get to listen to his music in my car on the way to school, and then I get to hang out with my mom and my sisters, and we watch the Osbournes, and it was on in the living room. So I had like Ozzy all the time. So it was a really good time growing up in the early 2000s, and yeah, it's sad that Ozzy is gone, but really really happy and honored to say I grew up in the time of Ozzy Osbourne, especially during that time where I got really into his music, got really into wanting to play guitar, and then he's on TV. Heck, I would do pranks on people, and I would pretend to be Ozzy. I'd go up to people and I would mumble and just like give like an Ozzy impersonation to, you know, try to get a rise out of people. And yeah, it's just really awesome. Really awesome to grow up in that time, and I learned so much. So here's some licks that, of course, are very memorable to Ozzy. Let's see what we could come up with here. Of course, there's the Mr. Ozzy. Something like that. It's been a little while. But and then another way Ozzy's had a big impact in my life. It really, actually, funny enough, in my kind of my work life, he's been a big part of my work life balance. There was a there was a time, when I moved to Austin. I moved here with a band, wanted to be a musician. I found myself needing to learn how to work and make a living, and so I started doing tech support for Samsung. Then I started doing tech support for Apple, and I was good at the job, and I held the job for many years. And before I knew it, I was in this job until I was 28, 29 years old, the same job at Apple. And as a musician, of course, I still played music and I was still in bands and stuff, but I really just needed a break and needed to I just needed a break. And I needed time away from working the way I was for so long. So my last day, or really my first day of being free of corporate work, when I quit my job at Apple, my very first day free was Halloween. And that day I drove to New Orleans with my friend Jesse, and we saw Ozzy Osbourne. It was 2015, and it was Halloween 2015. We drove all the way to New Orleans, and we caught Ozzy Osbourne at Voodoo Fest, and it was insane. Slash came out, played some songs with Ozzy. Geezer Butler came out, he played songs with Ozzy. I think maybe he could have been the bass player for the entire show. Gus G was the primary guitar player. Then Tom Morello comes out, plays Mr. Crowley, and does this really cool guitar solo that's kind of like it's kind of like a Stone, the Tom Morello style with the whammy pedal, and like instead of doing the typical, he did this over under thing with his hand, and it was like wow 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 wow. It was really cool, and it rained cats and dogs, and Ozzy just, man, he still rocked it. He was old at that time, 2015. He was 10 years ago, so he died at 75, I think, 76, so he had to have been 65, 66, something like that, maybe 67. And he rocked it. I mean, he gave it his all, even as an old man. And It was raining cats and dogs. He was drenched. Even though he was drenched, he was still throwing buckets of water on the audience. It was awesome. And there was a moment in that show where he thanked everybody for being out in the weather and toughing it out with them. And he said something of like, I know this weather's dreadful, and just thank you all so much for being here, and it means so much to me, and I love you all. God bless you all. And when he said that, there's just something about Ozzy. You really know he means it. He's a very genuine person, and you can feel it. Being an audience member, you can feel it. I felt like he really meant it when he said that to us. He wasn't just giving lip service. He wasn't just being a front man. He was who he was as a front man. He was himself at all times. He's a madman. So yeah, he's going to be greatly missed, and I'm just really lucky and honored and to have grown up in the time that I have, and have had my own experiences of Ozzy Osbourne in my life, and got into him around the time of the Osbournes TV show. Became a guitar player around that time, which even further got me into Ozzy, and it was just Ozzy mania in my house. I even had the Ozman Cometh actually starts off with the song Black Sabbath, a version of the song Black Sabbath, and it's real scary. And it was my alarm. In the morning, it was my alarm. So whenever I had the CD player in my room where it would rotate through different discs, it was like, I don't know, 5-disc CD changer. And when my alarm would go off in the morning, it would rotate through one of the discs and it would play. And it played that song, the song Black Sabbath. And it's real scary. So our morning started like that. And my mom was like, "Jen, turn that off." So I actually kept that CD on rotation for my alarm, but whenever it would start, like, I would instantly wake up and I would change it and put it on. I think it was Crazy Train or Goodbye to Romance. I think the third song is Goodbye to Romance. Something lighter, you know what I mean? To start the morning, it's perfect. Goodbye to Romance, then it's Crazy Train, and then I think after that, Shot in the Dark, Bark at the Moon. I mean, what a great CD, a great compilation of Ozzy. I mean, all the way to the very end. That song, Back on Earth, amazing song. I mean, Zach kills it on there. Like, really, it took me a while to really appreciate Zach, and it's a lot about his tone and the way his voice, his sound really worked well with Ozzy, especially in the 90s. It didn't sound cheesy. It had its own unique 90s-ness about it. So, yeah, gonna miss the Ozman. Can't forget about this one. I gotta keep going. I mean, I'm gonna miss Ozzy, so I'm just gonna talk about him for a bit, and yeah, I just gonna miss seeing his posts. there's plenty of material of him now, which is great. You know, the podcast he did with his family, and there's a lot to digest and go through. And so, not just his music, you know, there's also a lot of Ozzy albums that I never listened to. Um, you know, the main ones, of course, uh, The Ozman Cometh. Wait, excuse me. Diary of a Madman. Bark at the Moon. Uh, I mean, the list goes on. Yeah, there's just so many albums that are amazing to dive into when it comes to Ozzy. Blizzard of Oz. I don't know why I was drawing a blank there. Maybe because it's late. Had a long day. But Blizzard of Oz. Yeah, after listening to the Ozman Cometh, the greatest hits CD, one of my friends, Chris, collected all of Ozzy's CDs, and they all had this certain look about them. They all had like this glowy kind of waviness on the cover. They might have been like a reissue, but they were really cool because they all had a certain color to them. And so he let me borrow Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon. The one after that, what is it? You know what I'm talking about. The one with the lady on it, the wings or whatever she has, or the cape. And you know, we also we can't forget about the tribute album. I got really into Randy Rhoads, and I immediately got into the whole story of it all, and you know, the tragedy of this guy that came in and really helped Ozzy's career take off after he left his band, and then the tragedy of the whole thing with the airplane, and him dying in it, you know, after 2 albums. And you know, it reminded me of the movie La Bamba. You know, I grew up watching that, and you know, that story of this prolific musician on the rise suddenly dying from you know, a plane crash or a helicopter crash, you know, with Richie Valens. It really struck me because I grew up watching that, and then it's like, whoa, this is like a musician I got into, and I'm learning that this happened to him, and it was wild. So it really pulled at my heart, and it made me a fan of Ozzy even more, knowing that he had that experience. One of his bandmates left, but you know, he sailored on, and he continued having the career he had a family, and you know, he's an inspiration in so many ways. Even as a family man, I would love to be as blessed as Ozzy Osbourne, to have a family like that, have as many children as he had, and who knows, maybe I will. But yeah, it's just, he's going to be dearly missed. There it is. So what's in here? Black Sabbath, Bark the Moon, Crazy Babies, Crazy Train, Flying High Again, Goodbye to Romance, I Don't Know, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Mr. Crowley, No More Tears, Paranoid, Shot in the Dark, Suicide Solution, and War Pigs. So, yeah, I should definitely freshen up on my Ozzy chops. But yeah, everybody, Ozzy just meant so much to so many people, and he's going to be dearly missed. Let's just say who Ozzy is and who he was. just for, if anyone watches this and they don't know who Ozzy is. I mean, and I'm not saying like you guys who's watching it now, like my friends, but maybe in the future if I post this and it lives on YouTube. John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, born December 3rd, 1948, died July 22nd, 2025. Today, was an English singer, songwriter, and media personality. He rose to prominence during the 1970s as the lead vocalist of heavy metal rock band Black Sabbath, during which period he adopted the nickname Prince of Darkness. So, gonna be dearly missed. Sold over 1 million albums, including his solo work and Black Sabbath releases. Was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Black Sabbath in 2006 and as a solo artist in 2024. He was inducted into the UK Hall of Fame both as a solo and with Black Sabbath in 2005. He was honored with a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the Birmingham Walk of Stars. Yeah, I'd love to go see that someday. John Michael Osbourne, dearly missed. All right, people, there you have it. I don't know if there's more to say about Ozzy, really. I think it's someone you have to experience for yourself. And if his death raises questions to who he was or what was his music like, there's just so much you can dive into. So, I mean, of course, you could get into Black Sabbath. I take a different approach as somebody who got into Ozzy for his solo work. I would say start with Blizzard of Oz. Listen to that album. I mean, amazing stuff. Lyrically, melodically, everything. It's awesome. Start there. I mean, you could really just start there and just work your way all the way up, and then you can go backwards into Black Sabbath. But I feel like his solo stuff is just more accessible. It's got a little bit of the poppiness to it. Like, I'm not sure if you saw the meme where it's like what the beginning of Crazy Train sounds like, and it's like shows a skull on fire, and then it says what the verse of Crazy Train sounds like, and it's like Richard Simmons working out. And that's really it. And that's what I love about Ozzy, is because he is a contrast between darkness and happiness, light and dark. He's not all darkness, and that's really what I love about him as a person and him as as a solo artist. And condolences to the family, Jack, Kelly, uh, the other siblings, his other children, his grandchildren, his pets, and most especially condolences to Sharon Osbourne, and then all of his friends and family. It must be a really hard loss, but he's someone that can be celebrated for a very, very long time. So God bless to you, and God bless Ozzy Osbourne. Peace.